Well, Advocate Paul Hoffman as well. He's written an article in the Daily Maverick saying that the President mentioned in his State Capture Commission testimony last week that the new Speaker's nomination was made by caucus in the ANC. It was not done in Parliament, as it should have been. Advocate Hoffman, Director of Accountability Now, joins us now. Advocate, thank you very much. Just explain your concerns that it is the ANC caucus, not Parliament, that's made this call. How exactly should it work?
Well, what we heard from the President when he gave his evidence before the Zondo Commission last week was that the decision was actually made in Luthuli House. So the musical chairs that are being played between Speaker and Minister of Defence, with the two ladies concerned changing roles, is not something that the caucus has decided, as you suggest in your question, but it's something that's been thrust upon the caucus by Luthuli House. Now, that clearly is out of order. The other problem is that in terms of the separation of powers, it's most undesirable that Parliament be led by a former member of the executive, a former member dismissed from the executive under a cloud, one who admitted that she was caught with her pants down when there was unrest in the KZN and Gauteng last month. That has all to be dealt with by Parliament in terms of its oversight powers over the executive branch of government. So there she is leading Parliament in the exacting of accountability from the executive of which she was a part and from which she has just been fired. To add insult to injury, her husband is a special advisor to the President. So he works in the executive and she leads the legislature. That's an unmanageable conflict of interests. And, you know, the Speaker is meant to be a person of integrity who can ensure an impartial leadership in Parliament. That is just beyond the capacity of the candidate that the ANC has put up. It is irrational, as Eric Mabuza said in the previous insert in this program, and it will not withstand judicial scrutiny. It's unconstitutional to propose her, and it's certainly unconstitutional to vote in favor of her. So I do not see that this will end in anything other than tears.
So you've mentioned three really crucial issues. It's the process of how her name has come to be up there, whether she's fit to actually hold the position of Speaker, and your concerns around a conflict of interest. As Eric Mabuza mentioned, there is already a challenge. What is Accountability Now doing?
Well, we're making a lot of noise in the media, and you are helping us to make it. And we expect that the opposition parties in Parliament, who do understand their constitutional role better, will object, will vote against, and will take on review any decision that is made in Parliament that does not conform with the rule of law, the doctrine of legality, and the requirements of rationality in decision-making. To select her is really naked preference and an arbitrary choice. It does not serve any legitimate purpose of government. And if you are living in a constitutional democracy, as we all do, then rationality in decision-making of this kind has to be honored every time. And it won't be if the former Minister of Defence suddenly becomes the Speaker of the National Assembly.
I wonder if you could drill down and explain in more simple terms. As we mentioned, the President said at Zondo Commission that the ANC within Luthuli House had sort of decided that she would probably make a good Speaker, and this is something that should have been decided within Parliament, am I correct? But at the same time, it's the same party. So how do you draw that line between the two? Is it simply who gets to discuss it and where it's discussed that is the problem?
The difficulty is this idea of democratic centralism, where everything is decided at the top and cascades down. The president explained it to Advocate Paul Pretorius during the course of his evidence in the first day of the testimony that he gave before the Zondo Commission. It's one thing if Luthuli House says, we recommend so-and-so, but please, Parliamentary Caucus, make your own choice and your own decision. That is something that is required of you by the Constitution. It's not a sort of informal election that is worked out in a smoke-filled back room or on the back of a cigarette box. It is a requirement of the Constitution that Parliament vote for its leader. So it does not wash that the caucus of the ANC, which is 240 out of 400 members of Parliament, arrives in shackles at the election of the Speaker and does the bidding of Luthuli House. This cadre deployment is how state capture took place, and it is an abomination in South African society at this stage. The Zondo Commission ought to point out to the ANC that cadre deployment of the kind that is practiced in the public administration and the state-owned enterprises is unconstitutional and illegal. I suspect that that is what is going to happen. What we have in this instance is the Luthuli House and the executive interfering with the work of Parliament in choosing its own leader, a person who is meant to be of impeccable integrity and impartial demeanor. Neither of those fit the bill with the candidate that has been chosen.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in Parliament tomorrow. Thank you very much, Advocate Paul Hoffman, Director of Accountability Now.